Good afternoon. My name is Jason Carlasio, back here talking about current events, conservative politics, mafia history. From now to November, I'm going to talk about politics, conservative politics. We need Trump, Trump 2024, another assassination attempt. Once again, the Secret Service fails, the unsecretive service. It's just been a failure. You notice everything with this Biden administration, it's just been a disaster. I mean, just a disaster. Immigration, can't protect our border, Afghanistan withdrawal, the economy, everything. And what is this now with Kamala Harris? Holistic. That's the new name, holistic. So this just shows that and she can't answer the question. She did the recent interview one on one, which was horrible, and her performance has been terrible. And she can't answer questions, things like that. By the way, that was an excellent turnout out in Long Island. Proves my point with Trump out in Long Island. This just proved Nassau Coliseum. This just showing that Trump, contrary to what people may say, has a shot at winning New York and New Jersey. New Jersey first, then New York. Here's my little prediction. Not only is he going to win the swing states, Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, North Carolina. He's going to win those states. And very good shot at winning Virginia. The turnout's very high there, especially in the red counties. Got a good shot at winning Virginia, New Mexico, Minnesota, because they do not like Tim Walz there, along with New Hampshire. And he's also got a very good shot at winning the whole state of Maine, not just the second district. But I also foresee him having an excellent chance of winning New York, New Jersey, outside chance of winning Connecticut. I'd like to see Trump come to Connecticut. But he definitely has an outside chance of winning New York, New Jersey for sure. My prediction, he's going to win New Jersey. New York, I think he's got a good chance of winning. I think you're going to see such a run up in the suburbs, Long Island, upstate New York. Democrats can't overcome it in the city. And then here's another thing too, with uh, the cities too. If Kamala Harris is trying to win the Democrats, oh, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, they're going to put them over the top, or New York, New York City is going to put them over the top. Which, by the way, Trump won Staten Island big time, and there are parts of Queens and Brooklyn that he did very well in too. Even the Bronx too, he's done very well. But I don't see where she could depend on the blacks and Hispanics to put her over the top, because Trump's polling at almost 50% with the Hispanics, over 25% with the blacks, the African Americans. If Trump has those numbers, he'll win. That's my prediction. He has those numbers, he'll win. And she cannot count on the blacks and the Hispanics to put her over the top. Many of them are very disgusted with these illegals, the migrants coming in. They don't want it. They want their communities to be safe and clean. They don't want crime. They don't like these people coming and taking away jobs from them, hurting their communities. So we need, so they're discussing with Kamala Harris. And so they really want Trump, the blacks, the Hispanics. So she definitely can't count on that to put her over the top. And I've noticed that those Trump, he's doing very well, they say, with non-college educated whites. In our society now, because these wacky liberals, well, if you don't have a college education, you can't make it. Well, I can tell you quite a few people who didn't go to college, went into the trades, did something else, who are better off financially than those that went to people that went to college. One, they know how to manage their money, and even if they don't make more money in college, they manage their money better, so their total net worth is higher than those that went to college. But also, they've done very well. I know some people that dropped out of high school, own car dealerships, multi worth 500 million, electrical contractors worth 10, 12, 15 million, have done very well. They're doing better than people that went to college. So I don't like when they start dividing and saying, well, people who went to college, they're giving you the bad impression that you're a dummy, and that's not true. And this comes from someone me who does have a master's degree, was quite a bit of education, but I have a lot of respect for people in the trades. I come from a blue collar family, people in that background, surrounded by blue collar people all my life. I have a lot of respect for those kind of people. And so when they're starting to say people that, non-educated people, that's not, education doesn't prove that, college education doesn't prove that you're smart. You could be educated somewhere else. But they're saying that the people that Trump's been doing very well with the people who did not go to college or did not graduate college. He's doing very well with them, which is a good thing there. But I think he's also doing very well with people who did graduate college. because they don't want this liberalism either. And the blue collar people do not want this liberalism either. And I think you're going to see some surprises. I think they're once again underestimating Trump. Just remember last time, Wisconsin, oh, Biden's going to win by 8 points. Well, what do you know? He barely won it with Wisconsin. And I still say Trump really won that state. Trump really won last election. That's a whole other story. But Biden, from the liberal pundits, liberal media, says, oh, liberal polls, he's going to win by 8 points. He only wins by what? A half a point, if that. So, if they're underestimating Trump by 8 points, they're going to be in for a surprise on election day. One key is to make gains in the House of Representatives, Republicans to make gains there. And another thing, too, is for them to take back the Senate, which I foresee the Republicans getting 52 seats at least, maybe 53. They're going to have full control of the Senate without the need for the J.D. Vance to come in to break any ties. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I think the Republicans, at the very least, are going to get 51 seats. I think it's going to be between 52 and 54. If I had to go with a number, they're going to get 53 seats in the Senate. But I would definitely take 52 at this point. They'd be happy with that. But I think they're going to get around 53. And there's a couple of Senate races to watch for. We talk a lot about Trump and stuff, but there's a Bernie Moreno, if I'm saying his name right. He's a Senate candidate from Ohio. He's Hispanic, very bright, very intelligent, very articulate, and he owned a bunch of car dealerships. He owns some software company now, but for years he's been a successful entrepreneur. I like to see him defeat Sheldon Brown, who's been in there since Richard Nixon's been president. He just votes with Joe Biden all the time. If anything, he's trying to run away from Biden and Harris. There's a lot of Democrats are trying to run away. And I foresee him being defeated. And I think Bernie Moreno is a great candidate, be great in the Senate. He is very successful. They crack on him. He's a multimillionaire. Well, that's a good thing. He's successful. We want more successful people. We want entrepreneurs. We don't want career politicians. We don't want career bureaucrats in government. Maybe I'd like to see today in Washington, maybe Trump goes back to the old days of over 100 years ago, where you start appointing more people and they're part of your administration, you leave, they're gone. Because right now with civil service, you see these lifetime people in government. They're there forever, and all they are is liberals. They're dictating to people. They become dictators that become hard to fire. One time I was always in favor of more civil service. No, now I'm starting to think maybe patronage is the way to go. You appoint the people you like, and when you leave, they leave. But at least there's turnover there. You don't have these lifetime civil servants there that never spent a day in the private sector, and you're dictating how we should live and things like that. When they don't know how to run a business, all there are these bureaucrats with these PhDs and whatever, gender studies. I went to Yale and this and that. Doesn't mean you're smart. Doesn't mean you're bright. And you hear these left-wing liberals in government that just couldn't make it anywhere else. And that's why they're sitting in government for many years. And what I'd like to maybe see get back to where start appointing people. And administration leaves, they go like everyone else. They should be appointed by the president. I used to be, again, in favor of civil service. I'm not in favor. I'm starting to get away from that and start, you serve a 4-year term with the president. The president goes, you leave. I kind of feel that way about the governor in the state of Connecticut, other states too, even mayors. And if you're not happy with the people there, you go complain to the president, to the mayor, governor, whoever, and you get that person removed. But I don't like this lifetime civil servants with ironclad job security. I'm sorry. That's not what I like. Not happy. A lot of people are not happy, dictating to us how we should live. But this Bernie Moreno that's running for the U.S. Senate, I think they've said he's worth, and I've heard numbers of 100 million, somewhere around there. Well, that's a good thing. He's successful. That's who you want. Like him better than Sheldon Brown. Doesn't know how to run a business. Kamala Harris has no clue to how to run a business. Never developed anything. Look at Trump. Trump is very popular among blue-collar people. Construction workers, miners, truck drivers, people like that. Electricians, carpenters, plumbers, painters, because he gives them jobs. He's helped them out. Union people and non-union workers love him. And That's why Trump has that connection there, because he's creating jobs for people. He's improving people's lives. He's done that all his life. Done that in the presidency too. And this is why there's that connection with this book. Kamala Harris does not have that connection. She's a San Francisco elitist, or another one of these coastal elites. Never spent time in the private sector. I hate to say it, and I don't care for Joe Biden at all. Joe Biden at least could associate. Joe from Scranton, he could associate with the union guy. Kamala Harris can't associate with any of the union people. And you notice, by the way, the Teamsters Union didn't endorse anybody. 60% of their members are going to vote for Trump, probably even higher than that. Um, and the union leadership, their credit, decided not to endorse Harris. I wish they would have endorsed Trump, but I do agree with them not endorsing Harris. But when you start to see some of these other teachers unions and stuff, which I don't think all teachers are liberal anyways, far left liberal, but these presidents, these teachers unions, they are is just bureaucrats and sit back and collect union dues. They have no clue about the private sector, never spent a day in the private sector. Actually, I like to see more people from the private sector get involved in teachers. That's why I'm all in favor of schools vouchers, school choice, eventually phase the government, get the government out of the education system, let private companies take over, let people from the private sector go in and start teaching. Those are the best teachers. And this idea, you need a master's degree, you need certification, doesn't prove you're good. That does not prove you're good at all. And these president of the teachers unions and stuff like that, very far left. I know there's a lot of teachers that don't agree for what they stand for, but unfortunately, at the same time, you have a lot of teachers that are liberal. But then I will say this, you have a lot of teachers that are conservative too. But these teachers unions, they're very dangerous, very far left, full of communists. Of course, they're for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, now, okay, she doesn't have children, but her stepkids, her nieces and nephews all went to private schools. She went to private schools too. So it's funny, they take money from the teachers union while their children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren don't go to public schools, they go to private schools. When Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton went to the best private schools, and while taking money from the teachers unions. So that just tells you the hypocrisy of them. Yeah, and they'll say Republicans send their kids to private schools, which well within their right, but they're not taking money from the teachers union. And Trump wants school voucher, school choice, like a lot of Republicans, myself too, want school voucher, school choice, things of that sort. But it's the Democrats who are against school voucher, school choice. It's okay for them to send their kids to private schools, but you can't send your children to private schools. Like out in Chicago with the teachers unions, they want to send their, the president of the teachers union stuff. They all send their kids to private schools. Most of the teachers in Chicago send their children to private schools, but these are the same people that don't want to give you that option. It's okay for them to send their kids to private schools, but you can't. And it's public schools are okay for your children, but it's not okay for their children. So what does that tell you? Maybe the teachers union then needs to look in the mirror. If the public schools are so bad, maybe they are part of the problem. And when they say about problem students they have to deal with, well, did you ever look at the politics that the teachers union's been supporting for the past 60 years? They're the same ones that believe in a bigger welfare state, which breaks up families, creates problem children that end up in schools that their members have to deal with. So in reality, the teachers union is part of the problem. And they don't believe accountability for teachers. No, believe in ironclad job security. Remember about close to 20 years ago, something on 60 Minutes of rubber rooms in New York, impossible to fire a teacher. That's crazy. A business like that, private company, that they would be out of business if they couldn't fire anybody. But moving on to that, talking about some of the Senate races, about Tim Shee, if I'm saying his name right, from Montana. He's also running, also a very successful business person. He's running against John Tester, who, by the way, is not a conservative Democrat. Like Shelly Brown's not a conservative Democrat. They're voting for Biden. I don't think conservative Democrats exist anymore. Joe Manchin is maybe the last one out there, but which I like to see him switch over to the Republicans. But if you're a conservative Democrat, why don't you just become a Republican? Well, I'm a working man's Democrat. I don't think that exists anymore. Why don't you just switch over now? And I like to see Tim Shee, I'll pronounce his name is Shee, is also very successful business owner, very now he's a successful business owner, but he's also was in the military. I want to say he's a Navy SEAL. I'm sorry, ex Navy SEAL. Very impressive background. He got involved because he didn't like the withdrawal with Afghanistan. That was a disaster. 13 people killed. And you know what? That made Putin invade Ukraine, made China build up his military. So that was really showed that our country was weak and we have weak leadership. Who's running the country now? Where's Joe Biden? Where's he at? Hiding Biden. And you got Hayden Harris. Only now she's getting pressure to do some interviews, but the interviews are really poorly run. Everything is holistic, and everything is. I come from a middle class family. Never answers the questions too. Doesn't want to answer the questions about these illegals coming in the country. Um, like the question a few years ago, somebody asked her about being the border. Well, she's never been to Europe. Well, she hasn't answered the question. You know, she could put a stop to this immigration right now problem by putting Trump's executive orders back into place. But as soon as Biden took office, he removed all these executive orders, had all these illegals, been devastating to our communities. Ask Lincoln Riley, all these other women that were killed. And that's another thing too. You know, that doesn't get talked about enough by the left, about Lincoln Riley, all these innocent people that were killed by these illegals. Does anybody does anybody care about them on the left? They don't seem to care about these people on the left. And I'm tired of hearing this thing about, well, they could commit crimes at a lower rate, which these illegals, migrants, commit crimes at a lower rate than native born people, than American citizens in this country. First of all, we don't even know if that's true. I don't buy that. But even if that's the case, so that justifies Lincoln Riley being killed and all these other women that were killed and all these other crimes being committed against Americans. Um, and I just love when these left wing liberals like to bring out, well, you're a product of immigrants. Your grandfather, great grandparents came here from Italy. Well, they did it the right way. People here, they did it the right way. And you had to cross a big ocean to get in this country. You couldn't just walk over the border. Um, you had to go through Ellis Island. Things of that. You had to do things like that. You didn't just walk into this country across the border. And they also didn't get free things too when they came here. I mean, the story. Uh, One of my grandfather on my mother's side, when he came here, he had to go live with one of his brothers because he didn't have a place to live. And I've heard other stories about other Italian immigrants. They had to live with relatives. They didn't get free housing. They didn't get their rents paid for. They didn't get food stamps. They didn't get all these programs, free healthcare and this and that. And what about taking care of the people in this country first? Our veterans, or homeless people. How many homeless vets out there? We should be taking care of them instead of worry about this migrants. People say, well, how are you going to deport them? Well, I say use the military, use the National Guard, start with the local police, state police, use the FBI. Because I was doing something on the computer.